Lesson 2, psychological treatments in depression. So we looked at CBT, now we're comparing it to psychoanalysis. Kind of interesting, right? We've been given 100 hours for the context, concepts, and content. 4 contexts, that's 25 hours. It's 12 and a half hours each. Imagine trying 12.5 hours to teach high school students 3 approaches to origins of a mental health disorder and health problems and their treatments and cultural differences. That's the challenge we've got in this new guide. Anyway, moving on. CBT versus psychoanalysis. So what is psychoanalysis and which therapy is better? CBT or psychoanalysis, and how do we know? The answer might surprise you. Definitely surprised me. Maybe it didn't. Homework check, Freud. They should have watched the 20-minute video on Sigmund Freud. And here are some mystery questions in the workbook. I've tried to scaffold it with some clues. So if they watched it, they should be able to answer the questions. All right, peer problem. So pros and cons. Can they come up with some pros and cons of SSRIs and CBT? They can check the workbook. Here is some ideas. And then we get into today's lesson. Dreams. Can they remember any vivid or recurring dreams or nightmares? I have 2. One that I wake up, one that I've got a full head of hair, and the other one that my teeth are cracking and falling out, although I haven't had those for a while. Anyway, today they might learn what those dreams mean. They won't. That's just a hook. We can explain Freud's psychodynamic theory very, very briefly. I wouldn't go into the ego, superego, and the id. I think it's simple. It's easy enough just to talk about the unconscious mind and the fact that these are where our problems come from. And, you know, even just students comprehending what do they mean by unconscious and unconscious thoughts, desires, and conflicts, right? Things in our mind and existence that we're not aware of. His theory of depression was kind of interesting, but it's enough for students, I think, to comprehend the idea that it's anger that we don't express, but we direct it inwards to ourselves instead. You know, if we go back to this, the id gets angry, but the ego realizes. So the ego or the superego, maybe the superego realizes, hang on, we can't get angry at other people. We turn it inwards instead, and that results in depression symptoms. All right, so if depression is caused by anger directed inward, what was Freud's cure for depression? And the answer is pretty simple: get the anger out. That should be a 30-second quick question. Quick question. I like this scene from Analyze This with Robert De Niro, and it's Billy Crystal plays the psychoanalyst. Bit of chalk talk on dream interpretation and what it means. Again, just being very, very simple here. And then we go word association, and which is an example of free association. And then we do a volunteers. Now, if you're not comfortable doing this, I'm a bit performative in my classroom, so I'm comfortable doing this. I would get a student to face away from the board, and then all the students and you, except for the student who you're psychoanalyzing, can see these words. These are deliberately neutral, not supposed to tap into the kid's unconscious, so ethics were covered there. Anyway, just a bit of fun. And so free association, and then think, pair, share. Right, what do they think would be better for treating depression? CBT or PAT? Why? And here there's some time to write a short reason in their workbooks. If students struggle with this, that's okay, you can skip the written one. They should read the key study to find out the answer. Which therapy is better? Interestingly, both therapies seem effective. And it's kind of interesting. Psychoanalytic therapy, even though it's based on Freud's theories that had no empirical grounding whatsoever, consistently show that they're effective for treating depression. Makes me wonder, is it really actually the therapy and the strategies, or is it just having someone to talk to could be helpful? Anyway, space for workbook notes. 2 example essay plans for homework. Read both, see which one's better, and explain why. The answers, or my answers, my thoughts at least, are in the teacher edition of the workbook, which you have. Okay, now that's it. Psychological treatments for depression in 2 lessons. So challenging. Anyway, next up, we look at the last topic, cultural differences.